I was going through some hot takes and one really stood out, badoosh.
Movement is balked, as is flying. This game favors high movement. Moving outside of engagement constantly favors those who can keep doing so. Who cares what strength and toughness attributes are when they're not a factor in completing the skirmish objectives? Sure, there are ranged attacks, but nobody is going to stay inside range for longer than one activation, and you'll be lucky to kill with that one shot. Flying is worse and comes along with high movement. Swoop in, grab the objective and fly and perch up somewhere high. Is anyone trying to climb up? Fly off again.
1. This hot take is really bizarre because it is the complete opposite of what most people, at least in the competitive scene, actually see with movement. Movement is actually an incredibly expensive characteristic to have. If you have high movement, typically you have way worse stats and things that are equal to your points level. We see this most often with elf profiles, and it's one of the reasons most elf factions are basically unplayable competitively. 2. Who cares about strength and toughness when you can run away in objective games? Well, basically everyone, because not all games are objective games, some are just pure up, straight up kill missions. And also, the very best things in the game are kind of designed to one-shot you. 3. Sure, there are range attacks, but nobody's going to stay inside of range for longer than one activation. Yes, they are. There are so many scenarios, for example, in objective games, where you have to stand on a point and then you can just be shot from a long way. There's some very long-range things in Warcry that can shoot you from across the whole board. And those things are also sometimes rather dangerous. They might not kill you in one shot, but also they just might. And 4, flying is worse because you can get objectives and fly away. I assume he's talking about treasures here, and I think this is a fundamental misunderstanding of what flying does and how it interacts with treasures. You can't fly with treasures. They pick up the treasure, they are then slowed, and they can't fly, so they can't just fly off again. They can't just fly up high somewhere. They are grounded, more or less. Also, flying is disgustingly expensive. Look at the stats of a Varangard and compare that to the stats of an Icalian king, and you will be incredibly sad. So is movement and flying balked in Warcry? I would say no.